Okay, next one, number 12. There is an authority who says that if bread was soaked in a red wine, interesting, one should merely make the blessing, Baremi name is Zoinus, and the single blessing which corresponds to the three blessings for after the meal. Very interesting. However, it seems reasonable to assume that what he says only refers to the bits or pieces of bread which are each not as large as olive. Okay, so it's very interesting. So let's see what is going on. So we're doing the number 12 from the beginning, this coming case with Mishneh Berurah. So there is an authority who says that the bread was soaked, if the bread was soaked in a red wine. Let's see, first Mishneh Berurah in the red wine. What's the difference? This rule applies solely if the wine is red. Interesting. For in a view of the fact that the bread is rendered by the wine, it loses the appearance of the bread. Redden. I'm sorry, I apologize. I misread it. One more time from the beginning. Sorry, I misread one word. This rule applies solely if the wine is red. For in view of the fact that bread was reddened, make the bread red by the wine, it loses the appearance of the bread. So I mean, in a clear water, it's one thing, but in a wine, okay, it's a different thing. Continue. If one soaked bread in white wine, however, we require the appearance of the wine to have changed. So something have to change to see whether to understand that something was changed, whether the bread changed or the water changed. Something changed, right? If one soaked the bread in white wine, however, we require that the appearance of the wine to have changed because of the bread, which was soaked in it, and only then will the bread have ceased to be classed as bread. Okay. Meaning, if first case with a red wine, we said the wine affected bread. Now, in the case of the white wine, so bread affected wine. Right, as stated above in paragraph 11, with respect to the bread which was soaked in water. Okay, so I mean, water and white wine, there is no difference basically in this case. Okay, so let's read the whole sentence again. Okay, so it says that there is authority who says that if bread was soaked in a red wine, one should merely make over it the blessing Baremi Nemizonis. 65. Merely. Baremi Nemizonis. The Shulchan Aruch means by this expression to rule out once making blessing hamotzi over such a bread. Okay. As to whether or not it is necessary to make the blessing for wine, if one principal purpose is to eat the bread, okay, and the wine is only intended to make the bread tastier to eat, then the wine becomes secondary to bread, and one should not make the blessing when one should only make the blessing over the bread. So, as we said before, wine is a very important product, right? And bread, even in bread mill, wine is not covered. So if you have a dinner and you want a little wine, so there is no problem. You just make a separate blessing. Even though you did the blessing on on a bread and all beverages that you're going to that you usually drink during the meal that covered, except wine. So wine is a special product. Here they say a little different. So we soak this piece of bread in wine, right? And wine got absorbed into the bread, So then now it looks like that it's only one product, right? That they got combined. So Mishneh Berurah says you have to say only barem nevizoines on this bread because it changed also. It's not bread, it's bread. So just 1 second. Okay, so in this case, as we said, that it's a bread soaked in wine, and we say barem nevizoines, right? Because it is not bread. Similarly, it's one soaked a cake or biscuit in wine or brandy. The same ruling also applies. First of all, we don't see the liquid. That's also very important. This reasoning is all the more applicable to if one soak the bits of bread. So it's not like big piece, but okay. But now we go into bits that are as large as olive in red wine. Or if one soak the bread in a white wine, in which case one must even make the blessing hamotzi of the pieces that are not as large. 1 second, as the olive. So let's try to understand what Mishneh Berurah. I mean, he in one commentary he gives us several scenarios. So it's not don't think what he said it contradicts separate scenarios. Now let's read this scenario from the beginning and we explain. The first scenario was when wine absorbed in a bread, and he wants to eat bread, so you don't make a blessing or a separate blessing on the wine, right? Or for that matter on any product. So some people, they like to eat donuts and dip them into coffee, right? And they like this coffee to be absorbed in the donut, and that's how we eat. So it's not clear. Like there are some opinions, right? There's some opinions that say that you have to make 2 separate blessings since you're going to drink coffee anyway, right? I mean. Donut is not going to absorb all of the coffee in your cup, right? So they say to be on a safe side, you say you eat a little bit of donut without coffee. Say the blessing, barem nevizoines, then eat a little piece, whatever piece you want to eat. Then you say blessing on the coffee, and then you can combine. You can dip your donut in the coffee. There is no problem. But preferably not to do it like as we just said with the bread, right? Because bread, as we said, the blessing downgraded because of this wine absorbed, right? And it became barem nevizoines. Okay, so that was the first scenario. So now we're going to the second scenario. Similarly, if one soaked the cake or biscuit in wine or brandy, the same ruling applies. Okay, so that's actually the first scenario. Continue. This reasoning is all the more applicable if one soaks bits of bread that are as large as olive, right? So you got this wine absorbed in them, or whatever, some other liquids. Just a large wine in red wine, or he soaked the bread in a white wine, in which case one must even make the blessing hamotzi of the pieces that are not as large as olive, as stated above. So basically, just to remind us what we stated above. So in case of the red wine, the appearance of the bread changed. In case of the white wine, it did not change. It's white wine looks like water. Looks like, right? Water, so appearance did not change. We did not boil this bread. We did not do anything to this bread. So even the pieces are less than kizayis, they still have a status of bread. In this case, continue. In these cases, the wine definitely becomes secondary to the bread. Okay, so meaning because it was absorbed. However, if one's purpose is also to sip the wine, and one wishes to eat and drink simultaneously, it is then proper to make blessing over some of the wine. So commentaries say, for if one makes the blessing over the soaked bread, one can no longer make the blessing over the wine, since it is secondary to the bread, even when one's purpose is also to sip the wine. So okay. So what we're trying to say here, it's very interesting. So on one hand, this wine is absorbed into the bread, but as we said with this coffee, maybe he likes this wine also. Not only that he is trying to improve the bread with this wine, but maybe he likes the wine also separately. So they recommend, exactly as you said, make a blessing over the wine, and then make the blessing over the bread, and that's it. Because he likes wine also. That's the explanation. Continue. If one's purpose in eating the soaked bread is only to sip the wine absorbed by the bread, interesting, and the bread is only meant to make the wine tastier to drink, the bread becomes secondary to the wine, and one must make only bareplia gefen. So it's very interesting. So people, it's like a little shocking for people who do not know, right? So he only wants to suck the wine from this piece of bread, right? He interested in wine, not in bread, and the bread is like a mechanism, right? To get the wine to his mouth. So in this case, the bread is irrelevant. Even for sure, he's going to eat little pieces that would disconnect from the bread. But since it's secondary, his main purpose is wine. So replica gefen on the wine covers the bread also.